essential proteins mean that we can't make them, but we need them. But there are other proteins that we do make that we actually benefit from having more in our diet as well. You know, like carnitine, and not everybody makes enough of these things as well. Like, so, you know, some kids don't make enough carnitine, or they don't make carnitine at all, and you have to get it from your diet. Carnitine is integral for your mitochondrial health and your brain function and your brain development. You can't develop proper neurons without an adequate amount of carnitine. And so this is something I found because I was asking questions. I was saying, okay, if we are carnivores, and, you know, then we should see this in the data. So I said, okay, you know, and I was looking at all these different diseases. They're all going up at the same time, like after the 1980s, when we stopped eating meat, started eating more plant-based, and all these diseases, you know, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, you know, even things like autism, they all increased at the exact same time. When I figured that out for autism, I was like, wait a minute, is autism diet related? Because it's going up. When did it start going up? It started going up at the exact same time all these other diseases.
Seems way more prevalent now than it was.
It is.
But they say, oh, it's underdiagnosed.
Underdiagnosed. It's a lazy way of explaining
so
it.
lazy. So this is what they're saying, you know, they said, oh, well, it's probably the same numbers back in the 60s and 70s. We just didn't notice it. You're like, yeah, because everyone born before 1986 is retarded.
Yeah.
And so they just wouldn't have noticed it. They're just going around drooling all the time.
Exactly.
You know, all the guys that invented the iPhone and, you know, like Tesla and all that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, they're just idiots.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I mean, these guys were the pioneers. They did way more with way less, you know. Of course they noticed this stuff. You know, anyone who says this, like, oh, they just didn't notice that someone had autism, clearly does not have a relative or a friend with autism. Like, this is something you notice. I mean, this is a serious misdevelopment of the brain. And I think it is a misdevelopment. I don't think that they're genetically supposed to develop like that. As pointed out by the fact that University of Texas A&M did a study, I was looking and saying, okay, well, if this is the case, then you should see higher rates of autism in vegans and vegetarians. And that's exactly what we find. Wow. There are much higher rates. And there are associative studies, but there are also causative studies. There was a study out of Texas A&M that showed that that at least one of the causes of a certain type of autism is this carnitine deficiency. And some people don't make enough carnitine or don't make it at all. But this wasn't something that showed up because everyone was eating meat, everyone was eating eggs,
Is this controversial?
There's not. Well, it's not. I mean, this is
factual.
This is absolutely factual. I can send you guys the study. They showed causation between the two.
Is there a way to, with this knowledge, like if they're saying it's diet-based, if a child is exhibiting autism but you can fix the diet, will autism go away? It
can repair. And so the younger you get them, the better it'll be. So, you know, when the brain's still developing, you can actually reverse a lot of harm. And in fact, a lot of people are doing that by even just a ketogenic diet, just getting people, their brains running on the proper energy, because your brain wants to run on ketones. Your ketones cross the blood-brain barrier and then reconstitute into fatty acids, which actually are some of the important building blocks of your brain. This is something we see in Alzheimer's as well. They're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes now because of this insulin resistance. And then when you switch over to a ketogenic diet, there was a study that looked at putting people on a high-fat keto meat-based diet, and they found that had better efficacy for treating people with active Alzheimer's than every medication ever trialed.
See, this is when you're talking about food being the medicine and getting rid of medications and